to the PTZOptics pre-show podcast. My name is John. I'm joined with Tess and Paul. How are you guys doing today?
Doing good. Can't complain.
Yeah? You guys have a good Thanksgiving?
Yeah, it was wonderful. Excited to be
Yeah.
back in the studio, though. Almost a little bit too much family time sometimes on Thanksgiving.
I hear you there. We had an unconventional Thanksgiving in Disney.
hmm
So that was interesting. We actually had Thanksgiving out by a pool
Wow.
with like tiki torches, and it was really cool.
It's certainly the most unique Thanksgiving out of anyone here.
Yeah,
right?
probably.
Is there like a favorite Thanksgiving food that you guys have?
Favorite Thanksgiving food?
It's never turkey. No one ever
Stuffing,
says
probably.
turkey.
I love the stuffing.
What about you, Paul?
I really like super fresh bread
Mm,
with butter.
Oh,
that's
bread
classic.
and butter.
That is truly
Classic.
classic. Yeah. So, Tess, you went to Disney World this year, drove all the way from PA
Yeah.
down to Disney World. So, I have to ask, what was your favorite ride while you were there?
My favorite ride, okay, probably Pirates of the Caribbean. That one's a classic.
It is a classic. The surprise drop in the middle.
My favorite ride is the big golf ball, the giant golf ball.
Oh,
at
Epcot.
That's my favorite.
What
ride,
is that
actually.
ride anymore?
I forget what
I
it's
think
called.
it's Space Mountain.
Is it?
I don't remember, though. It's been a long time for
I don't
me.
remember. I don't think it's Space Mountain.
Is
Space
it called,
Mountain's like a
World
roller
of
coaster.
Tomorrow or something like that?
Yeah, it's something
Oh,
like that.
Is that
yeah.
what it is? And it's supposed to be like
Oh,
depicting the
I
future,
love that
kind
one.
of.
It's special to
Yeah.
me and Steve, my husband. So that's my favorite.
Oh, that's really
We always
sweet.
ride it together.
I love that. So today we're talking about two different devices here. We have our SuperJoy and our PTG4, PTZOptics device. But I thought we'd kind of catch up a little bit about Thanksgiving, learn a bit about your trip and everything you guys have kind of been up to since we've been on a little bit of a break here. I'm curious if you guys could invite anyone to your Thanksgiving dinner, alive or dead, who would it be?
Live or dead. That opens up a lot of people.
Lil Peep.
Really?
Yeah, a musician.
Wow. Why?
He's just a super interesting character, and I never got to go to one of his shows, and I really was like, that makes me sad. Or one of my grandparents that are passed.
Aw.
What jumps out to you, Paul?
I think for Thanksgiving, it would be interesting to have like one of those explorers, not going to sort of Christopher Columbus, but like, one of those guys who was on the first expeditions to America and explored it. Lewis
That's a
and
good one.
Clark, people like that.
Yeah.
Those guys were really tough. The guys who first settled America. So probably somebody like that.
Yeah, I like went with a historical figure at first when I was thinking about this, but then I'm like, oh, what if like someone fictional like Godzilla? You open it up to like, what would Godzilla want to eat at a Thanksgiving meal? So since we're talking about a device like the SuperJoy, what would you, if SuperJoy was like a Thanksgiving food item at Thanksgiving, what would the SuperJoy be? And my answer to this would be gravy. Right?
Oh.
It's like the side dish that can go with everything, go with any of our products, especially like our PTZ cameras. And it's essential, right? It's an essential tool to be able to like manipulate and move and pan, tilt, and zoom with our camera. So do you guys agree? Would it be gravy or maybe cranberry sauce, possibly?
It just makes things better, so I can see it being an accompanying sauce. Absolutely.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, I'm with you on that.
Maybe like a little bechamel cheese sauce or something like
Never
that.
heard of bechamel cheese sauce.
So I want to ask in the same vein, now that we're kind of getting towards the holidays, Hanukkah, Christmas, and all the great holidays coming up, what would you gift someone who's looking for like a controller for their PTZ cameras? Would you go with the SuperJoy? Or would you maybe go for the G4? What, and specifically, why would you choose one device over the other for someone looking this holiday season?
Do you want to take that one?
Well, it depends on how much you like them. If
that's
they've
the
been a
key,
really
yeah.
good, to you that year, the SuperJoy. And if you're going to do this, they're going to be a good friend.
Yeah.
And the PTZOy G4 is a workhorse. It's a great joystick. I guess the question I would ask them is, do you have any analog cameras?
Uh-huh.
Because if you only have network cameras, the PTZOy G4 is a great choice. It does support analog and network cameras, but it's either or, where the SuperJoy can mix and match serial and IP in like instantaneously. Whereas perhaps we'll show this today, but the PTZOy G4, you just hold down the button for 3 seconds and it switches between serial and analog. So it depends on how old they're. If they've got a bunch of older serial PTZ cameras, then maybe the SuperJoy tip them over the edge.
Sure, that makes a lot of sense. So it's very dependent on who you're buying for, right, and how good they've been to you. Whether they deserve some coal or not,
and whether they're using NDI or not too. You could go with the SuperJoy if you have an NDI workflow. That would be the perfect gift for them.
Which is essential with the SuperJoy versus the PTZOy G4, right?
Yeah, it's included on the SuperJoy, not on the PTZOy.
Okay, that makes sense. So we have a fun game today here, guys. We're going to play a game of charades. And the way this works is it's our SuperJoy charades, as we're using both the PTZOy and the SuperJoy to be our director, right? So the director is going to mount the joystick and they're going to control the person who's doing the charade. So all of us don't know any of the prompts. We have some key cards here on the desk that Paul has, and you're going to draw and you're going to do your charades. The third person out, who's not the director, will be the guesser, and we each have 5 minutes as the person doing the charades. So, Paul and Tess, who wants to go first?
I'll be the guesser first.
Oh, gosh. All right. Okay, fine.
Okay, Paul, I want you to, do you want to be the guesser? So I'll be the director this time around?
You be the director.
Okay, so I'm using the PTZOy G4 here in front of me. I'm going to be using the joystick. We can even do a demo as well with auto tracking, and I have a preset built in here for us as well. So, Paul, bring that bag up there. You can use the chair as a prop if you need it, or stand otherwise. And we're going to see how good you are at charades.
And if you're just tuning in, this is the pre-show podcast to our live show, which is starting at 2 p.m. So hang tight with us as we have some fun before the live show.
All righty, let's get them all set up. I'm going to push into my preset here. All righty, Paul, how you feeling before we get started?
I'm ready.
You confident?
He's ready.
All
He's
right.
confident.
Let's see this.
Okay, start acting out what you got. Lips are sealed. Secrets.
Okay, he's shaving.
Secret makeup.
Just shaving.
Oh,
Putting on-
lipstick makeup. Makeover.
Yes, nice.
Oh.
Okay.
Putting on makeup.
1 point for Paul. All right, let's draw another one here. So we have 5 minutes each in order to
This
rack
is
up
so
as many
funny.
points as possible. All right, it's been a minute on the clock now. Just about.
Martin just bought a PTZOy G4 and 5 Move SEs for their church. Congratulations. They're using PoE with a Blackmagic ATEM Television Studio HD8.
Wow, it's a great setup there.
Great setup. Yeah. Okay, let's see the next one, Paul.
What you
I'm
got,
pretty
Paul?
good at guessing. I'm
What
not
you
gonna
got for
lie.
us?
Making tea, making coffee, growing a plant, watering a plant.
Yes.
Okay,
Nice.
that was one Michael had before.
Good job. All right.
All right, so I went back to my preset here. Maybe this time, if you're going to be moving a lot, we can try auto tracking this time, and I'll try to track you
Okay,
going.
let's try auto tracking. Are we streaming over NDI? We are using NDI today.
All right, Paul, what you
Most
got
certainly.
All right.
Flying a kite.
for us? Wow, that was so fast. You saw my hands weren't even on the board at all. Wasn't touching the PTZOy G4 at all. And one click of a button,
People are guessing in the chat.
And we
Next
can
time I'm going to let
disable.
the chat guess.
and then back to our preset 1 here.
All right.
Yeah. Ready?
Here we go.
Playing volleyball?
Boom!
Wow, so quick. We're going to eliminate these so
all right,
fast.
I'll chill. We need to have like a family game night and play charades.
Well, he's clearly very good at it.
Have you ever done a family game night, Paul?
I'll bring you both.
Okay, let's see.
All right, starting tracking.
Okay, ready?
I'm ready.
All right.
TikTok dance? Hopscotch?
Yes.
Wow, that was great.
Hopscotch. Can you get a tighter shot? At NAB, they said the Move 4K was going to get a firmware upgrade.
Coming before the end of the year.
Coming before the end of the year, John. The word is true.
All right, how much time do we have?
You have just about a minute and a half left, Paul. All right.
Okay.
Tracking again.
All right, here we go.
Tennis?
Ping pong.
Boom.
Yes. Let's go.
You're not even supposed to be
Oh, I'm not
guessing.
supposed to be guessing. Oh,
Actually,
man.
why don't we have it? So, because we're kind
Because
of
I'm supposed to be controlling and then
Okay.
competing. Yeah.
Okay. We can compete together.
Well, it might just be you doing charades because he might knock out half of the ones here.
I don't know if I'm going to be good at acting out them.
Give me a close up for this.
Oh, we'll get real close for this one. I'm going to preset 1 here. Keep pushing in.
All right, ready? Oh, not that. All right, that's good. All right, here we go.
Playing the saxophone.
Boom.
Too easy.
Too easy, yeah. I should have made Ashley make them harder than this.
All right, I'm gonna end there 'cause I just like.
Yeah, you're just about out of time there.
We don't want to redo them. Okay. So should I go next?
Yes, let's have you go next. It might just end
Now-
with you.
One thing I want to do though is what camera are you controlling with your joystick?
I'm controlling camera number 4.
And that the IP address of that is
It ends in 63.
63. All right, I want to make a quick change, and Mike, you can feel free to share my screen if you want. I want to make a quick change because I don't like how when you start auto tracking, the auto tracking button comes up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in here and I'm going to open up the menu. There's a way to turn off the auto tracking, like the
Menu name.
the menu
yeah.
that comes up
Mhm.
to let you know. I believe it's in setup and other. This is a little known feature. When you start auto tracking, most people do not want to display info.
Yeah, they want it to be a secret that they're auto tracking.
So
So
boom.
good.
Now go ahead and now let's go back and now let's let him turn auto tracking on again, and then it should that screen shouldn't come up.
Alrighty, we're gonna go back to my camera here. Right. Preset 1 and then try auto tracking.
Boom.
Boom. Reset to position. And
There we
auto
go.
tracking is enabled.
All right.
All right, Mrs.
So
Protesto.
who's guessing?
You will be the controller this time.
So I have to sit there and control it?
Yes, if you
Okay.
want to sit here or if you want
Alright,
to connect with
that's
the
fine.
SuperJoy.
Oh, I could control it with the SuperJoy. That's a good point.
Alrighty, so we have
So I think I've already got control of the SuperJoy.
two
Okay.
different joystick controllers can't controlling the same camera. And we're going to have switch over to Paul controlling and being our director, and I will be the guesser this time. And I think you got a total of 7, I believe, Paul. So, Tess, you got to beat 7.
7. Okay.
And there's 20 questions. I didn't think we'd be this good at this.
All right, I'm ready.
I am ready. Shower, taking a shower. So easy.
Ding, ding, ding.
Okay.
All right.
All right, you're on the clock. Just reading a book. Oh my gosh. All right, so the next one, try adding something to it, adding like some additional step to make it a little harder for us.
Oh, this one's kind of hard.
Yeah, I didn't know any of these. I gave it to our social media manager. Okay, put on a backpack or a helmet. Riding a horse. Going on a ride. Riding a spaceship. You're on a roller coaster. Riding a roller coaster. Okay.
That was putting on
Nice. I was like, is it a helmet? Is it a backpack? What exactly is happening there? I couldn't tell. All right, let's see what else you got. Okay, pyramid. You're building a pyramid. You're building a house of cards. You're building Legos. You're building a house. Okay, she's stepping up. You're decorating a Christmas tree.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, nice.
Let's go.
That was tricky. The chair did come in handy.
It
there.
did. The star got it for me. I saw you going up to the tippy top. I knew it had to be a Christmas tree. All right, you ready, Tess? Just cleaning, wiping a table, cleaning the countertops, cleaning your car, car wash. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, I think that's 4 now you've knocked out. 4, 5 maybe. All right, you have 50 seconds on the clock. Basketball. Shooting a hoop. Dribble and swish. 3-pointer. Fadeaway. Shooting a basketball, throwing a basketball, shooting your shot, a 2-pointer, what? What is it? Oh,
Oh, no.
basket bomb, shooting, dropping a bomb, hitting a bomb. What? Yeah, I don't know. All right, that is the timer. Oh, it was Kobe. Oh my gosh. Kobe. Oh man, I would have never thought of that. All right, so there's some left. The rest you put in your pocket there?
Yeah, I got all the ones.
All the ones you used? All righty.
A really
So-
weird sock muffin.
You will be the guesser now, Paul, or unless you want to control the joystick, and then if not, Tess, you'll be our director if
I'll
you want to
be
do the
the
director.
director.
Okay.
Okay.
What did you press?
It got disconnected. Plug it back in.
Plug that back in.
Okay.
Plug it in. Plug it in.
So we got some left here.
All right.
Okay. How we feeling?
Feeling good in the hood.
You want to get John in there? There you go. And then the auto track button should just be the top thing if you want it.
Okay.
Test that tracking out. Make sure that we got you tracking. Do you think you could use tracking in this one?
Oh, I definitely could.
Okay. Let's go.
Walking the dog.
Yeah.
Tracking's nice because then it's just, you don't have to do too much.
You got the right idea there.
Bowling.
Gotta add something to those easy ones.
Yeah, I should add another one to it.
Oh, yoga. Gardening. What is he doing? I don't know. I do not know what you are doing. Huh.
If you're just tuning in, we are in the pre-show podcast.
Riding a bike, mowing the lawn,
We're having
Planting
some fun
grass.
with the
planting seeds.
auto tracking cameras, the Move 4K, and we will start the show
sewing,
at 2
riding a
p.m.
bike, sewing, mining for something. This has got to be something easier than this. Oh my gosh. I can't tell. Tess, do you have any idea?
Is it voting?
Voting. Why? What are you picking? What? Looking at the times.
Paying for something?
Chess.
Playing
Chess?
chess. Oh my god! I'm
Wow,
playing
Michael,
chess.
good job. That was Mike.
Wow.
Okay.
Director flop there.
Okay. Painting, drawing.
Painting.
Okay.
Two more.
Making a pizza. Yes.
All right, last one.
Playing a flute. Clarinet. Snake charmer.
Snake charmer. Trombone.
Oh, good one. Trumpet. Okay,
Yeah.
trumpet. Okay.
Okay.
It's kind of hard to tell what invisible instrument you're playing.
Okay, thank you guys.
All right. Cool. And it's almost time for the show. One of the new features we were showing off that is exciting to me is the PTZOy G4 now has a custom button, which was exclusively available on the SuperJoy at one point. So the PTZOy G4, that top button on the joystick, when you click it, can do whatever you want. You can customize it. We had it set up to do auto tracking, but it could do anything. It could start recording in vmix. It could turn on your lights on your production. There's a lot that button can do. And, one of my favorite commands for that button is snap focus. So essentially there's a command that just automatically quickly focuses the camera. So if you ever focus changes, you can just snap focus
I
with
could
that
have used
button.
that during
Yeah.
my director.
Yeah, you were losing
stunt.
focus
I lost
too much.
focus at one point.
So yeah, and then actually I was controlling the camera from the SuperJoy. You were controlling the camera from the PTZOy G4 over there. Both of these joysticks are just powered over the network. So we just have one Ethernet cable going to each. And the other feature that the PTZOy and the SuperJoy both got a bunch of new features we're going to talk about today. But the PTZOy G4 is actually the big winner, I think, because it got a lot of new features with custom buttons. And one of them is a super preset. So if we have a second, Mike, can I tease that? Can we show my super presets? A super preset is basically the ability to click one button. Oh, you can even sort of see me. When I click this one button right here, I can have 4 cameras change at the same time.
Wow.
And that's a pretty big deal because if you're doing like scene switches, for example, you can see some of these cameras are set to move really quickly and others are slowly, but that's a super preset. So we'll talk more about that coming forward, but the PTZOy G4 can now do that.
Wow.
So one really nice way for houses of worship, for example, I think one of our viewers, I think it was Christopher, who has 5 Move SEs and a PTZOy G4.
Let me see.
What he could do if he's got 5 cameras is he can just click the one button on the top of the joystick and have all of his cameras kind of go back to a normal situation. So if you're in a church, sometimes every Sunday, the cameras get moved around and you don't really know where the volunteers left them. So you just have one button. Everything gets set back to like known positions.
Wow. That's
We
great.
already have some questions coming in.
Oh, we can answer
We can
them.
take some questions during the pre-show
Sure, we
here.
got 5 minutes.
Can the auto tracking Snapchat thumbnails so you can select who to track?
Well, the PTZOptics cameras can snap thumbnails. So what that means is you can take a snapshot off the camera. And there's an API for that. So you can use the joystick to click and start recording a video or take a picture from a snapshot perspective. Now, from an auto tracking feature, the PTZOptics Move 4K and Move SE feature presenter lock. And the way presenter lock works, and I think we could potentially show this off quickly, is that you start auto tracking a person, and you can actually use the remote control to choose the person you want to auto track, and then you just click OK. So yes, you can switch between people.
Excellent. Lewis wants to know, can you use the SuperJoy to control a gimbal with a middle things APCR? I'm not sure what that is.
If it supports Visca over IP, then yes. If it so the SuperJoy supports a variety of pan, tilt, zoom control protocols, and that's why these joysticks do support a lot, like almost pretty much any PTZ camera, including Panasonic now with this firmware update. But regarding this specific middle things APC-R, if it supports Sony Visca, if it supports Panasonic, if it supports OnVIF, if it supports some of the other protocols, Pelco, that we support those protocols, then yes, it will work, at least in a limited fashion. So it depends on the protocol for PTZ control.
Saul TV says, question, can you use the Super Control without a computer after setting it up to control the PTZ cameras and use the HDMI to move the cameras where you want?
Okay. There's a lot going on there. One is the SuperJoy has an HDMI output. So the HDMI output can be plugged into a monitor so you can see the camera that you're currently controlling. Can you use the Super Control without a computer after setting it up to control the PTZ cameras? Yes. So the SuperJoy in that way can be no computer, just plug this into your network, plug the HDMI into a monitor, and then you do not need a computer. You can set everything up from the joystick. Now, it is nice to set up the joystick with a computer because the joystick has an IP address and you can log into it and really customize it with the keyboard and mouse is a nice way to do it. But once it's all set up, you do not need a computer to control your cameras and view them with the SuperJoy. That's a big difference with the PTZOy G4, which controls the cameras great but has no video output. So you kind of need a computer or some other way to see the cameras.
Okay, that catches us up with questions.
Cool. Well, I think it's about time to start the show, guys.
Yeah, we got about 2 minutes. Just want to remind you guys to like, subscribe, hit that bell if you want to get notified every time we're going to go live. And we will see you guys very soon for our full show.
Yeah, I guess if we have a second, just don't forget that we are giving away a SuperJoy today.
Yes, we are.
In
Yes.
just 21 days, the Stream Geek Summit is happening where we're giving away $5,000 worth of production gear, a Magewell Director Mini, an Epiphan Pearl Mini, and a PTZOptics Studio Pro. So check that out. We're going to give you the links to all of that, but search for the Stream Geek Summit and register for that to win some awesome gear December 20th.
I just put the links
Can't
in the YouTube chat for you guys.
Nice.
All right, we'll see you in just a moment here for the live show.
See you soon.
We're back.
Hello and
Hello.
welcome to PTZOptics Live.
We're so happy you could be here with us today. Please say hi in the chat because we are live right now. We are streaming on YouTube and Facebook. You can catch us live the last Wednesday of each month at 2 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific, with our pre-show podcast starting at 1:30 Eastern time. Let's do a little bit of housekeeping before we dive into today's content, which is all about joystick control. You may have heard that recently we have a firmware update for our PTZOy G4 as well as our SuperJoy. So if you want to get your firmware up to date, head to the website to get the latest firmware or your web UI of your joystick controller. We are giving away a SuperJoy today on the live show. So if you want to sign up for the giveaway, there is still some time to get that done. Go to go.ptzoptics.com/NDI webinar. And I'm going to put that in the chat on YouTube as well if you want to get that link to enter. If you haven't heard, we have had this amazing Black Friday sale going on the past week or so, but it is ending tomorrow. So today and tomorrow are your last days to take advantage of the Black Friday sale for PTZOptics products. So make sure you get in touch with your local reseller or sales outlet to take advantage of that. The Stream Geek Summit is coming up on December 20th. Make sure that you get your free ticket. I'm going to put that in the link in the chat as well. We're giving away around $5,000 worth of streaming technology. So you're going to want to make sure to register for that event and sign up for the giveaways so we can get you some free awesome stuff. And again, we are live the last Wednesday of the month at 1:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So please don't forget to like and subscribe if you're joining us today or if you're watching on demand. We'd love to have you here with us. And let's get into today's content.
All right, we are ready to go. The SuperJoy is one of the most popular joystick controllers for pan tilt zoom control for a lot of reasons. And I want to start by just looking at this joystick, letting everybody know that you can update the firmware. And when you buy a PTZOptics product, whether it's a camera or a joystick, you should know that our engineers are constantly listening to our customers. They're in the PTZOptics user group, and almost all of these new features that we're going to show today came from you guys. So thank you for being so active and sharing your thoughts on how to improve these products. For years upon years, we add new features, and it's done through firmware updates. So there is a new firmware update for the PTZOy G4 joystick that John and Tess are going to be controlling today, and the SuperJoy that I'm going to be controlling. I guess I won the prize here because I get the SuperJoy. But let's take a look at the SuperJoy really quickly. I'm going to do a quick overview of what this joystick can do, and then we're going to dig into a lot of the new features. Now, the SuperJoy has NDI capabilities. So we're going to look at, I actually sat down with Roberto Musso from NDI, and he is going to connect to the SuperJoy over NDI Bridge. So he's in Italy. We're in Pennsylvania, and we're going to be able to control cameras in his studio in Italy with this joystick because it does have NDI support. But before I get there, we've got the joystick controller here, and there's a button right on top right here. This button right here can now do anything you want. So any command that the PTZOptics camera support, that Panasonic cameras support, any CGI or HTTP command, you can start and stop recording in vmix, stuff like that, your TriCaster, your VizRT Vision Mixer. Click this button, boom, and you can call a custom command. So that's pretty cool. A lot of our customers will take manual control with the joystick and then decide to start auto tracking with this button. So you can toggle, so you can do on and off. So the first time you click it, it's on. Second time you click it, it's off. And that is the same with these custom buttons right here. So there's 4 custom buttons. And then there's an HDMI output button. So this joystick does have an HDMI output. Right now we're just plugging it in via Ethernet, but we have an HDMI output as well where we can see the live 1080p full HD video coming out of this joystick. Now, for that being said, I'm not going to go into every single feature, but some of my favorites are on the side where you have quick controls for pan, tilt, and zoom speeds, preset speeds and focus speeds, your dedicated knobs for focus and zoom here, and then your backlit buttons. This is really good for like a dark studio, by the way. Mm-hmm. It's a solid metal case, but it's got these backlit buttons. So if you're in a dark studio, you can see everything really well. And I'm not going to go into every single feature here, but this is one of the big deals what we're talking about today is the SuperJoy. Now, if you're a SuperJoy owner and you're wondering, well, how do I figure out how to get the firmware and what's going on? There is a firmware changelog. So if you go to the changelog here, as you're checking out your products, you'll see that the PTZOy G4 and the SuperJoy have a brand new update that has just come out. And then you can get those firmware files for your joystick here. And when you download those, you can go into the IP address of your joystick, into settings, and you can click the upgrade button and update your joystick with the newest firmware files. So if you're seeing something that I'm showing you on my screen and you're like, hey, my joystick doesn't have that, it's probably because you need to update the firmware files on your joystick. So I'm going to assume that you all can follow the instructions and get your joysticks upgraded. This is a big update. So let's go over some of these awesome updates that are available today.
Did
So-
we upgrade the SuperJoy yet, or are we doing
Yes.
that live today?
Oh no, I've already
updated.
updated it.
Okay.
It takes about 2 to 4 minutes, so I didn't want to
Do it
take
while
up that
live.
time.
That makes sense.
But here's the breakdown of the new features. So the first thing is the custom button on top. And that's a big deal for PTZOy G4 customers and owners because they didn't have any custom buttons before. So now not only is it a pan tilt zoom controller, but you can toggle off and on any command with CGI or HTTP commands like auto tracking, like recording and streaming, things of that nature. Now, the other thing that we can do, and this is something we're going to show today, is we can do a custom command on camera switching. So if you switch from camera 1 to camera 2, you can do some cool things. And I'm going to show that today. When I go to camera 2, I'm going to have it set up so that my video output actually changes in vmix. And Mike, I don't know if you want to show this now or if you want to show this later, but I have this set up to show really quickly. If you go over my shoulder on to my vmix screen here, when I switch to camera 2, it actually switches in vmix just by switching from camera 1 to camera 2. And I'm going to show you guys how that works. Why is that nice? Because if you're doing camera switching with a joystick, you can now have your video production software follow what you're doing on the joystick. And so that's pretty nice, especially if you want to make sure that your video producer and your camera controller are on the same page. So we'll look at that in more detail. The PTZOy G4 gains SuperPreset support. What's a SuperPreset? Well, a SuperPreset allows you to control multiple cameras at the same time with the click of a button. So Mike, why don't you bring up my SuperPreset here? I click one button on my joystick. This is a custom button, and 4 cameras are moving. This is really ideal if you're doing scene changes from left to right. If you kind of can plan out your production, you can have a single button when you click it. I believe it's up to 7 cameras can move at the same time, and you can send a command to vmix or any system with HTTP API as well. So that's pretty cool. The PTZOy G4 is a big winner here, getting a lot of upgrades that were only available on the SuperJoy before this firmware update. Now, another big one is Panasonic camera support. So you might see I've got a Panasonic camera in front of me here. We're going to go over, I'm going a little faster. I just want to cover all my bases. I've got a Panasonic camera right in front of me, and I can now control it from my SuperJoy, and you can control it from your PTZOy G4. So a lot of our customers have Panasonic cameras, and Mike and I are going to look at this in more detail as we kind of move along here. But I've got my Panasonic camera in here. I got a Panasonic camera right in front of me, and it's really, really responsive. I love how well they've put this together. Pan, tilt, and zoom, and preset controls with some other features as well for Panasonic cameras. So we'll dig into that and how that works in a moment.
Someone's asking if Canon support.
Canon is not currently on our supported list. We are looking into that. And I know for a fact we're working on some Canon stuff that's coming out next year. But I do not believe Canon's on there. I'll have to ask the engineers, though. We might even get a response from our engineers on that one.
Okay.
In the chat. I'm not sure. Okay, another big feature that I know our SuperJoy customers are going to love is something called a current camera variable. And what this does, and we're going to have to show some screenshots on this because it's a little interesting, but essentially you've only got 4 custom buttons on the SuperJoy. So with those 4 custom buttons, you can set them to toggle. So each of those buttons can be on, off. So technically you kind of have like 8 unique commands, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. But what the custom variable does is instead of hard coding the IP address into these, you can have a current camera variable. So whatever camera you are on, the custom button will apply. So if custom button 1 is for auto tracking and you're on camera 1, you click this button and camera 1 will start auto tracking. If you're on camera 2, then camera 2 will start auto tracking. If you're on camera 3 will start auto tracking. That's what a variable is. Does that make sense, Tess?
Yes.
So whatever camera you're on, that button will insert that camera's current IP address into that string that's going out.
Okay.
So it's pretty cool. And it really opens up a lot of control for additional buttons there. So hopefully that makes sense. And we're going to look at that in more detail as well. We added support for WebSockets. I think some developers might be excited about that. That's going to open up some more things in the future. Not a whole lot. It's supported now, but we don't have a whole lot of integrations for that yet, but more coming. The SuperJoy, this was a big one, now displays exposure and white balance modes in the display screen. So that's cool. And we also have new virtual custom buttons. So we're calling these the virtual custom buttons or soft custom buttons, meaning you have 4 custom buttons on the SuperJoy. You have, well, actually 5 if you include the one on the top now. You have 1 on the PTZOptics G4, but you have an unlimited number of virtual soft custom buttons that are available in the web UI. Those are used for the triggers. So we looked at, for every single camera, you can trigger an action to happen when you click it. So when you switch to camera 2,
Very cool.
you might want to tell vmix to make sure that camera 2 is in preview. So those are done by setting up custom soft buttons and telling the joystick, and we're going to look into all this. Maybe I'm going a little too fast. Don't worry. Each of these we're going to go into in detail. So let's start with the new custom button and SuperPreset support for the PTZOptics G4. Now, we looked at this in our pre-show, but essentially we set up the PTZOptics G4 here to start and stop auto tracking. So this is a perfect chance to maybe do a demo here. Maybe Tess, you could stand up where we were doing the charades.
Sure.
And John, you can press the button once we have all the videos set up. And I'm gonna let's do the demo first, and then I'll show you how it's all set up. But essentially, we're gonna show the PTZOptics G4 here doing auto tracking with Tess. Okay.
Ready. Put 1 into my preset.
All John's got to do is
1 click of the button.
click that button. Auto tracking is on. Now, this is pretty cool. Nothing came onto the screen, by the way. We have this camera set up so that no box goes around Tess, nothing comes up. It just starts auto tracking. And we have it set up to toggle. So if John clicks that button again, auto tracking will turn off. Now let me show you on my screen how I set that up in the SuperJoy here. So I'm sorry, the PTZOptics G4. So this is the PTZOptics G4 here. And the PTZOptics G4 has the option for setting up a custom button now. So I've went ahead and set up this custom button number 5 with an HTTP trigger with a toggle. So I've enabled toggle, meaning the first press, it does one thing, the second press, it does another. And now that I have that set up, I just basically entered this HTTP string, which is essentially the command for turning on auto tracking, and it immediately happens. So that is how you set up the PTZOptics G4 for the custom button, specifically with auto tracking. So just wanted to show that, but it can do more than just auto tracking. This could start and stop video recording in vmix or our camera management platform. Another popular request was to have this joystick button to quickly snap focus. So if you ever lose focus, you click the button, it does a snap focus. And then another is a SuperPreset. So SuperPreset to just get all your cameras right back to where you want them to be, especially in a house of worship or a space where there's volunteers and people using the cameras and might leave them in an unknown location. You can go ahead and click that button and get all of your cameras back to a known location. So pretty cool. Now, I wanted to take a moment to talk about SuperPresets, which were at one point only available on the SuperJoy. They are now available on the PTZOptics G4 as well. This is a setup where, let's say you are in a stage production. And there's a setup on the left, there's a setup in the center, and there's a setup on the right. Well, you've got these custom buttons that you can have one button to get all the cameras on stage left. Maybe you want one of them to start auto tracking. You've got another button for all the cameras to be on stage center, and then another button to have stage right. This is a much faster and easier workflow than having to go into each camera and calling presets for each. So you can set up these beautiful scenes how you want, and then have a whole scene change happen with a single click. So that is what a super preset is. And the SuperJoy has 5 potential super presets that you can set up. Also with camera switches. So now that I think about it, you could actually do, like you could go to camera 99 and it could trigger a soft preset as well. So
Wow.
some pretty interesting things there. Is there a page with a list of commands for PTZOptics cameras? I'm glad you asked that, because that was something I definitely wanted to look at. Now, in PTZOptics website, under resources, there is a developer portal. You don't have to be a developer to use this stuff, but we call it the developer portal. And there's 2 command lists that you probably would want to use. One is the commands for either the G2 or the G3. And this command list here you can use this to put it directly into PTZOptics cameras. And then the other one is the HTTP command list. And here that is here. And you just copy and paste that. There's a variable for the IP address itself. And sometimes there's some additional variables like the pan, tilt, and zoom speeds. But those are what you would take and put into your SuperJoy or your PTJoy when you are sending a custom, let's say HTTP trigger or TCP trigger. That's where the command would go. Okay. All right. So back to our presentation here. Now, the automatic triggers, it's pretty exciting. And so we demonstrated that. Now I'd like to dig a little deeper into this. So with automatic triggers, essentially, you can go into any of your cameras and say, hey, when I switch to this camera, I want a custom action to happen. And I gave an example of sending that camera to the preview of vmix, for example. Or maybe when you switch to that camera, you know you want to call a snap focus or an auto tracking command, or there's many, many options for that. Maybe every time you use camera 3, you need to turn on the lights or something. All of that's possible. Now, I'll show this with the SuperJoy, but this works on both the SuperJoy and the PTJoy. When we go into any of these cameras, I'll go into my Panasonic camera here, and you'll notice that there's a new option for custom. So this is camera 1. The camera's name is Panasonic. The connection is over the network. I've selected my Panasonic camera with its IP address here. And you can also configure the HDMI output. That is what video stream will come out of the SuperJoy via HDMI. And then this right here is a custom button. So basically, when you switch to this camera, this custom action will happen. And this is where those virtual custom buttons or soft custom buttons come into play. So let's take a look at the new unlimited number of soft custom buttons that you can add here. So they're on the left-hand side. There's custom buttons 6, 7, 8, 9, and you can actually just add another one. And essentially, these are just the same custom buttons that we've been looking at earlier. Essentially, you can basically set up any command you'd like. So in command 6, I have a custom command this is sending a command to vmix. Okay. So this is, if you look at the vmix API, they make it very easy to basically go through and do a whole bunch of different things. The new tech TriCasters and VizRT vision mixers and other situations. I believe Blackmagic video switchers as well, all have APIs that you can look up. We need to get a Blackmagic video switcher in here and check.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Because we have to do that soon. I'm pretty sure there's an API for Blackmagic.
I think so.
And we got to make a video on that. But right now we're just showing vmix, and we go in here, and so custom button 6, this basically fades to input 4, which is my camera. And so in devices, when I go to camera 2, in the custom button, I'm saying, hey, when I switch to this, call custom button 6, which is essentially a fade to vmix. So to show all of this together now, when I click this button, camera number 2, it's going to fade
Very
to
cool.
my vmix, my output there. So Mike showed that earlier in the presentation. It's a cool feature. I'm really excited about it. I think it's really cool. Automating all of your camera switching is very helpful. All right. Now, a couple ideas with automatic triggers here. So basically, this is anytime you click a camera switch button. So camera 1, camera 2, camera 3, camera 4, etc. Automatically switching, putting the camera in preview in vmix, automatically sending the camera in VizRT's TriCaster, or maybe even automatically setting the lighting in a Philips Hue. Anything with an open API for HTTP.
Possibilities are endless.
Starting the stage lights or killing the stage lights.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Now, this is a small but very helpful, handy feature, which is the current camera variable. So what this is instead of hard coding an HTTP command or a CGI command, any of these custom buttons, you can use this current camera variable. And it just increases the functionality of your custom buttons because now whatever camera you're on, that command will go as opposed to having to hard code it like you had to in the past. So let's take a look at that in the SuperJoy here, because I know I have this set up somewhere here. Here it is. So for custom button 3, I have basically you can see here, instead of typing in the IP address, this is an auto tracking command. Instead of putting the IP address in here, I just put the 2 curly brackets, current_cam, and 2 curly brackets. And now no matter whatever camera I'm on, that is the camera that will turn on for auto tracking. So it's a very handy feature for controlling multiple cameras with these custom buttons. So great for on-off auto tracking, great for snap focus. You can take pictures with these cameras. So there's a snapshot mode. You can snap a photo, snap a video, things like that. So very, very nice. Now, for those of you who may not know, there is a toggle feature as well. So you can have the first press do one thing, second press do another, and it just goes in a loop.
Nice.
That's great for on-off. And then one of the big things as well is the Panasonic camera support. So Mike and I set this up this morning. Panasonic generally will use port 80 as its control port. So when adding a Panasonic camera to either a PTZOy or a SuperJoy, all you have to do is click the add button, and essentially you can just make sure that you notate that it is a network Panasonic camera. You type in the IP address of the camera and the control port, which is generally 80, and you're good to go. I have not tested the HDMI output, but I assume that should work as well. The SuperJoy only supports 1080p video output. And it does that via an RTSP video stream. So the RTSP video stream just has to be 1920 by 1080. And there may be a maximum bit rate as well, but if it's 4K, it won't work. And the Move 4K is 4K. So if you're using RTSP video with the SuperJoy, some of our customers work with our support team on this. You just got to take the RTSP video down to 1080. All right. So Panasonic control is a big deal. I know a lot of our customers are really excited about having Panasonic control in the SuperJoy and the PTZOy G4. Now here is where we're going to get to the fun stuff. And my friend, Mike wants me to show the Panasonic camera controlling a little bit here. That's all right, Mike. You can go back. I like to control my Panasonic camera. Look at that. It's fast and very responsive too. Look at that. Whoop. It's very, very responsive. Perfect for pan tilt zoom. You can see the lens moving there for the zoom. Let's set a preset just to make sure at least that works. So preset 1, you can set a preset just by holding down the button for 3 seconds. We'll go to another location, set another preset, click and hold for 3 seconds. Now we'll just, boom, look at that.
You can
Now
hear it.
here's a question I want to try. All right, let's turn the preset speed down slow.
Still pretty fast.
Still pretty fast. So turn this preset speed down all the way. Okay. So One thing to know about the SuperJoy and the PTZOy G4 is that while they do support other camera manufacturers, not every single button is going to work.
Got it.
Every single button will work with PTZOptics cameras. So that's just a known thing. I don't know if we're going to provide more documentation on every feature or not, but that is something to be aware of. Okay, now let's dig into the really interesting things that the SuperJoy is capable of, which is opening up the world of NDI. Not only does NDI yes, these cameras will control JVC cameras. Yes,
These
100%.
joysticks will control JVC cameras.
Yeah, because JVC generally will use Sony Visca. Almost 90% of PTZ IP controllable cameras are Visca over IP, and JVC is one of them.
Right.
And we are working on publishing a compatibility chart on our website as well. Is the auto tracking being performed within the camera or the Joy box?
So automatic auto tracking is within the camera.
But we're
Yes.
enabling it on the joysticks.
We're enabling it. Yes.
Yeah, we're sending a camera from the joystick to enable it on the camera, and that is a big deal because you really do want the auto tracking to happen on the camera. You don't want it happening on your computer, for example, where it takes a bunch of processing power and requires a constant connection to the camera. It's much better to have it built in, which all of our new cameras have. All right. So automatically discovering any NDI camera. This is a big deal. I want to start by doing this because I'm going to lead into a sit down we had with Roberto Musso in a moment here. But first, I just want to show that there's a search functionality in the SuperJoy that will not only find all PTZOptics cameras, there's also an NDI search. So we can go ahead and search for all NDI sources on our local area network. Why is this good? Well, now you don't really need to know the IP address of every camera. It will pull in the names of these cameras and you can immediately add them to the SuperJoy. Now, this is really exciting when you are connected to someone over NDI Bridge. So when you have NDI Bridge set up, you can connect directly to anyone in the world. And I really want to show that. So I want to cut to a quick clip with Roberto Musso from NDI, where we go over how to connect the PTZOptics SuperJoy to control cameras from anywhere in the world, supporting a really nice workflow. This is the workflow here, where we've got the SuperJoy on one side of a local area network, the wide area network, meaning the public internet, going over the public internet, I think it was about 4,000 miles away.
Wow.
To Italy. And I was able to control the PTZ cameras at his studio. So let's take a quick peek at that and we'll dig into why this is a game changer. All right, guys, as part of this webinar, we really wanted to bring in a remote guest to show NDI Bridge in action. And who better than Roberto Musso, coming in from Milan, Italy. Roberto is on the NDI team. I've worked with him for many years. He's a huge expert in video production and live streaming. Roberto, how are you today?
Hey, Paul, I'm good. And what about you?
I'm doing great. In fact, I am so excited that you were able to join my NDI Bridge.
This is amazing. This is amazing.
I mean,
it blew my mind.
I can't believe how easy this was. I'm really, really excited about this. So Roberto has joined our NDI Bridge, and he's going to show how easy it is to control PTZOptics cameras from the other side of the world. Roberto, why don't you tell us a little bit about this and what you're going to do?
So, and by the way, let me tell you a secret, because my internet connection is just an LTE connection. It's not even a fiber.
Wow.
Because where I live, the internet connection is not good. And so years ago during pandemic, I found this LTE service. So it's just a SIM card with an LTE antenna, and I mean, it's working. And so we just tested a few minutes ago, and I have. But let me share my screen. Is probably easier. Okay, share. So can you see my screen?
Yeah, so this is the VisRT,
Right.
what is it called?
This vector.
Vector, the Vector Plus.
Right. And so I receive your PTZ camera through NDI Bridge, which is already wow. Because again, my connection is LTE, is not even a fiber. And so if I open the camera setting, I have some preset. And so I can even remote your camera
Wow.
over an LTE connection. This is mind-blowing.
The latency is so low. Are you able to
Right.
do pretty intuitive pan tilt zoom controls with what you're seeing from your side?
Yeah, so there is a little bit of latency because of the connection. So I had to enable 200 millisecond of buffer on the receiving side, but I can try to go lower than that. I can decrease the latency and do some tests. My recommendation to the user is before going in production with Bridge, try to manage different setting on the buffer. So the buffer is working on the receiver side, okay? And so you just adjust a little bit, increase or decrease the buffer setting in Bridge. So let me show you. Where is my Bridge? This is Bridge. And so, oh no, it's 500 milliseconds. Let's go down to 200. Okay. Let me see now. Yeah, it's a bit faster. Right. Yep.
Wow. That looks so nice. So let's talk about the bridge for a second here. So I'm the host of this bridge. Maybe have a better internet connection than you, Roberto. I'm not sure. It's not fiber. I will say we don't have fiber here either, but we have a public IP address that we're pulling in from our internet service provider. We created a port that forwards directly to this machine here that I'm using that's hosting the NDI bridge. And I just simply copy and pasted this information. I sent it over to you.
Right.
And, basically you were able to just plug that in under the join section. And now you've joined.
Exactly.
And you have access not just to this camera, but all my cameras. And by the way, I have access to all of your NDI sources. Correct. And so
you can even manage my vector. You can change the input in my vector. I mean, it's bidirectional, and all the metadata are bidirectional.
This is one of the really important points I wanted to make here with our webinar about the SuperJoy, is that the SuperJoy is certified for NDI. So if I go to the SuperJoy interface here, one of the things we'll see is that we have the search functionality on directly on the PTZOptics SuperJoy, and I can search for all NDI sources on my local area network. And what that means is that if I'm connected over to someone with a bridge, their sources will show up and can be controlled. So here's all your sources, Roberto, coming in to the PTZOptics SuperJoy. So the SuperJoy can easily be used to control cameras from anywhere in the world using NDI Bridge. So you've got a lot of sources here coming in from that VisRT Vector Plus. And if any of any PTZ camera, you can pull it into the SuperJoy from anywhere in the world using this NDI search functionality.
Exactly.
So this is really exciting. We're showing Roberto controlling cameras in our studio all the way from Milan, Italy. I can control his cameras. I'm using vmix. He's using a VisRT Plus system. We're using NDI Studio. We can use a PTZOptics SuperJoy. This is really what NDI is all about. Interconnectability, software, hardware, NDI tools, multiple manufacturers working together to create solutions for video production and live streaming.
Right. And again, don't forget that NDI is not only video. I mean, there are metadata like PTZ control, KVM. There are custom metadata and audio. I've been doing a test with a company that is developing an interesting audio application, sending over Bridge 255 audio channel back and forth. I mean, this is unbelievable.
Roberto, why don't you go ahead and show the tally light functionality quickly? If you go into your Vision
Oh, yeah.
Mixer and switch the sources from preview and output, Mike, if
Right.
you show the NDI Studio over here in the camera on this NDI Studio, Mike, you'll see
Right.
that it's changing from green to red. So green is preview, red is output. And we've actually got two different systems running now. We have this camera is in the output of your Vision Mixer, and then it also is in the output of vmix, which we're using in our studio here. So to have all of that working together, so if you're working with a remote producer or remote talent and they can see if they're on live or in preview or in output, wherever they are in the world, is a really important point. Well,
Yeah,
thank you so
mean,
much, Roberto.
It's my pleasure. Anytime talking with you is always a great pleasure.
I really, really appreciate it for this segment of our webinar. Thank you so much for tuning in to show this. I really wanted to have someone across the Atlantic Ocean, someone far away, and who could be better than Roberto Musso from NDI to show how great this tool works.
Thank you.
All right, I'll talk to you soon, Roberto. All right, so we just wanted to take a minute there to show you guys what is possible with the NDI Bridge. And the SuperJoy uniquely is really, I think, the only NDI-enabled PTZ joystick controller. So I got this little diagram here. I know that might have been a little bit of a crazy setup, so I just want to break this down for you. Essentially, when you have a network, right, a local area network, the NDI was generally first designed to work on a local area network. Your network probably has a router, and the router essentially is the brains of the network, right? And the router essentially connects to a network switch, and all of your PTZ cameras and the SuperJoy or your joystick controllers, computers, everything connects to the same network, right? But it's not generally connected all the way to another local area network. But that's what NDI Bridge will do. So NDI Bridge, you can have one host and you can have one, I'm going to forget what it's called. I think it's called a client, but essentially on the far end can join the host. And so what you saw there was I was hosting an NDI Bridge session. I sent the credentials to Roberto. He plugged them in, and then those two networks were connected. And so I was able to search through the SuperJoy and see all of his NDI connections. He was able to control my PTZ cameras because it's a bi-directional technology.
Very cool.
And in this setup, we're actually showing a Tally Lights controller as well. Tally Lights will also work over NDI. So I wrote a little bit about that in the unofficial guide to NDI. Thank you, Siler Tech. The unofficial guide to NDI is free, and it's a great starter to learning about NDI. So with the SuperJoy, you can really control more than just PTZ cameras. You can control NDI decoders, you control vmix, TriCasters, the list kind of goes on and on. So, it's more than just a PTZ camera controller. NDI Bridge is exactly like a VPN, except it's software-based. And the latency across VPNs are very low. The latency with NDI Bridge is very low. You can set the buffer rate, as we showed. And then also, NDI Bridge is free. VPNs usually have to pay for.
That's a big deal.
Now, another feature within the SuperJoy, and this is a little quote from a house of worship that we worked with, is the basic mode. So there's a basic mode that makes it very easy for users who might be new to PTZ cameras to not mess with all the color settings and start pressing buttons that they're not supposed to.
Test mode.
It's in test mode. Then we've got the pro users, right? And this is John Mahoney, who from the Streaming Alchemy show, who was talking about how the super advanced features really open up the doors for him, where he's putting the joysticks into dynamic DNS mode, so he can control the joystick from anywhere in the world, even outside its IP address, his local network. So really cool stuff for basic users, for pro users. You can really realize your vision if you've bolted on a lot of different devices. You've built an NDI system. The SuperJoy might just be that product that can tie it all together. And it's also ideal for remote operation. So if you're managing cameras in multiple classrooms or multiple spaces or across the world, as we showed with the NDI Bridge, the SuperJoy is really ideal for that. So if you're using an NDI ecosystem, if you started to use NDI products, the SuperJoy was really built for that space. The other thing that we talked a little bit about is that HDMI output that the SuperJoy has, so you can always get a view of the camera that you want to control. It's very, very nice. And that happens over an RTSP video feed. We talked about that with the Panasonic cameras a little bit, and it supports 1080p video. You can also toggle on and off auto tracking. We did talk about the super presets, so I'll breeze over this. We've got a giveaway to get to in a moment here. But that's pretty much it, guys. That's the SuperJoy. And thank you for joining us today on November 29th. We changed the date on this. But that's it. So happy to answer questions, and then we're going to pull a giveaway, and that's our show today.
Don't forget, on December 20th, the Stream Geeks Summit, the 5th annual Stream Geeks Summit, coming at you with over $5,000 of giveaway. Remember to like and subscribe. And yeah, ask Tess over here any questions you might have.
I've got the live chat up, so I'm ready to take on your questions. And we're going to draw a giveaway winner shortly. I'm going to share the giveaway one last time if you have not entered it yet. You're going to want to enter this giveaway. Great webcast, very informative, says Silura Tech. Thank you so much.
Glad you enjoyed it.
Does your book have hardware recommendations for switches?
I think so. I think that there is a chapter on that. And we highly recommend the Netgear M4250 network switches. At the Stream Geek Summit, Netgear is going to be presenting. And so that'll be exciting to see. And yeah, the Netgear team is really great. We also recommend TP-Link, which is much less expensive. Does require some configuration, but you can use a TP-Link or you can use a Netgear M4250. Those are the popular ones in this space.
I'm excited to build out a system where my buddy in Australia can control our video production without any of us having to fly 30 plus hours for every show.
Nice.
I believe the Netgear AV switches have NDI 5 profiles.
Yes, they do. Which is really helpful if you're using a lot of NDI sources and something's going wrong. It's probably a networking issue. And now that I'm thinking about it, yes, in the NDI book, it covers a lot of the network settings. So you've got your router and you've got your network switch, right? And both of them need to be in sync, working together. And I can't even remember all of the details, like group of frames, and there's a lot of different details on setting up your network properly for NDI. Generally, it works just fine. It's just when you're using 30 cameras or 100 cameras, that's when some of the traffic, or you're using Dante and NDI on the same stream, for example.
Saul wants to know, can you see all your PTZ cameras out of the HDMI output?
You can only see one at a time. That is definitely a nice feature request, but you can only see one camera at a time. The SuperJoy does not support a multi-view output.
Is there a way to not have the tracking window show up on the output video?
Yes, there is. And I want to show that because that is so important. So I'm going to go to a random camera here. We're going to number 61. I'm going to show this on my screen here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to log into a camera and I'm going to show you how to turn off the auto tracking, because I almost wish I think it's correct that it's on by default, just so you know what you're doing. But you go into the menu. I'm going to zoom into this. Give you a nice close up here. And this is the on-screen display menu. And we go down to I think it's setup. Go down to the setup page and we go to other. And in here, you can see the display info is on. We want that off. When that is off, when you turn auto tracking on, which I'll do here, through the web UI, just by turning it on here and hit apply, it will turn auto tracking on and no screen will come up. Now it's asking me to select my target because I have select target on here, but I can also turn that off as well. And now Tess has been selected as the auto tracking target, and nothing came up on the screen.
I'm not
So,
moving, but
I'll just do it one more time just to show that, because that's an important thing. I know a lot of customers are like, hey, why do I have to see this auto tracking on thing during my live stream? You do not. That is how to turn it off right there. Boom. And it's tracking Tess because it likes Tess the best.
I switch cams.
Okay.
Should we do the giveaway?
I think so.
We're prepared.
All right. Hey, David Geckler.
Hi, David. Hope you're feeling better.
Everybody cross their fingers. Who is it going to be?
All right, I'm going to draw a winner.
Someone's going to win a SuperJoy, our best joystick controller. The top of line, best PTZ controller available.
And you can register for Stream Geeks at streamgeeks.us, I believe.
Yeah, there's a link right at the top there.
That's where you can register for our Zoom link for free.
Yeah, we're using Zoom events. It's a really cool platform. You get to kind of connect. It's not just a live stream. There's also networking, and you can jump in and be part of the events.
Guest speakers talking about AI this year. Couldn't be more relevant. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a great keynote speaker, Mike Russell
Mm-hmm.
from Music Radio Collective. He's a really nice guy.
Okay. The winner is Yuda Wadowski.
Yuda winner.
Congratulations. Good job, Yuda.
We know
right.
Yuda.
Yeah, I've met Yuda before.
Yes.
Really? Wow.
Yeah. Yuda's
So
a
congratulations.
really
I hope
great
that this will be
producer.
helpful
Small
to
world.
your production.
Good job. Yuda, just send us an email and we will get that out to you shortly.
Thank you for subscribing, Solera Tech.
Thanks for subscribing. Thank you for liking this video. We really appreciate you all supporting us and being part of this production. And I think we'll do a live stream in December, but we're not sure because the last Wednesday of the month is holiday season.
Nobody's here.
So
You
we're
just
gonna
said, yay.
we'll figure something out for
Live
December.
stream
Yeah,
opening presents.
Sometimes we do Thursday streams, so we could work out a Thursday.
Yeah.
Well, we will be streaming the Stream Geek Summit.
Yeah, we will. So we'll have the Stream Geek Summit. Look forward to that.
I want to link to that one more time before we end. If you haven't registered for the Stream Geek Summit, it's a great event where we're bringing industry experts from the live streaming industry together to teach you about using live streaming technology. And we're giving away $5,000 worth of technology for live streaming gear. So you're going to want to sign up for it. It is a free virtual event, so you can just attend and have it on in the background and tune in as you can. So
Thanks,
thank you so
everybody.
much for watching
Hi,
today.
Jim. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks for
We'll
joining us.
see you next time.
See you
Thank
next
you,
time.
everyone.